Hello everyone. I hope you guys are all doing wonderful today because I know I'm about to do wonderful. I just saw the length of this replay and I thought, you know what? This is going to be amazing, and I'm not going to spoil whether that means it's going to be really short or really long. So let's just jump into it. So over here in the bottom left-hand corner of Shakuras Plateau, we have sPcReclaimer. And he's actually the one who submitted this replay to me. So we should all thank him, and he is basically going to be the hero Protoss for this game Anyways, up in the top right-hand position, we're going to have the enemy, the blue Protoss, Bratsche. I actually like the pronunciation Bratsche. So if I can remember to say that, I'm going to call this guy Bratsche, and he's going to begin by building this pylon. This evil pylon, which is much earlier than sPcReclaimer's pylon. Oops, is that actually a late pylon from sPcReclaimer? I hope not, as that could really ruin this game, and especially in PvP, such as a mirror matchup, you know, it's so important to make sure you're hitting your timings on pylons and all that kind of stuff. But it looks like sPcReclaimer is going to make up for this by just building a gateway on about 11. So that means he's going to be able to get out a very, very early Zealot. Actually, I'm not actually so sure about that anymore. We can see here he's actually 2 behind sPcReclaimer. I'm actually just going to call him Reclaimer. But he's, you know, behind in probes, and his gateway's not actually that much further ahead. In fact, it's at about the same place. So I think sPcReclaimer really just starting off a bit behind in this match. Probably made a little bit of mistake. Oftentimes on the ladder you can be a little bit unprepared. You have your mind elsewhere. You know, it can cause those kind of issues. But, you know, issue or not, it's an issue. No, but I mean, you know, accident or not, it's definitely going to be an issue for him, and he's going to have to overcome that. We can see that both of these players over here are taking their gas geysers. One really telling thing about build in Protoss versus Protoss is when this second gas geyser is taken, as that's really indicative of whether or not there's going to be that so dreaded 4-gate coming in. So as of right now, neither of these players have taken their second gas, and it is a bit early to be taking that second gas anyways. And actually, we are going to see a second gateway coming down from Bratsche, the blue Protoss. So this is actually usually a good indicator that there's going to be what's called a 3-stalker rush. So what you want to do is you want to use these 2 gateways to get out 3 stalkers really, really quickly. And you can use those 3 stalkers to get a bit of map control. You can poke around, kill off this annoying scouting probe with this stalker that should actually be chrono boosted out, I believe. But it looks like he's going to opt not to do that. Might just want to save that chrono boost for his probes. But, you know, as soon as this probe is dead, then Bratsche can go ahead and take the second gas geyser if he decides to. Or he can opt not to and instead go and transition to a 4-gate. The idea is that our hero Protoss, Reclaimer, really just won't know exactly what's going on. And it looks like Reclaimer is actually opting to do a bit of an older school style of Protoss versus Protoss, where he goes for that Zealot first, rather than going for the 3 stalkers. And I mean, neither is definitively better than the other. But, you know, they both have their advantages and disadvantages. So we're going to see this stalker popping out, and, you know, the probe for Bratsche is getting awfully close to Reclaimer's base, so he's going to have to be very careful. I hope that he does, in fact, spot this, as losing that actually could be a little bit painful. Ooh, not actually even getting the scout. A wonderful move from Reclaimer, actually using that probe to block that scouting probe from really getting in. And it looks like the scouting stalker of Bratsche actually doesn't get the first hit off on Reclaimer Stalker, so that means he is going to have to back off until the second Stalker comes out, and it looks like here we have all 3 of these Stalkers. Looks like we're going to be seeing a pause, except we're in a replay, so we don't have to deal with that. Isn't that lovely? Anyway, so Bratsche is actually going to pop up here, and oh my god, Reclaimer might be in a huge amount of trouble as the sentry was out of position and didn't get a chance to force field, and the warp gate is not even close to being finished. There's only 2 gateways, and the Stalker is already dead. The Zealot is going to go ahead and chase after this other Stalker, and the Stalker is taking a little bit more damage than it should, but it's going to be fine. It's actually going to live, and this Sentry is going to die. Tries to throw up a Force Field just to delay how long it's going to take to kill this Sentry, but the Warp Gate is now finished. We're going to have to see if Reclaimer can hold off this aggression with these 2 Stalkers warping, and he will be able to pick off this low health Stalker very easily. And there's the target fire going down at it. Now he's targeting fire the other lower health Stalker, and it looks like he will be able to get it. There's no a little bit of micro going on from Reclaimer, just kiting back at that one last Stalker, and it looks like Reclaimer will be able to get away with this defense, but not before losing that second Stalker. I really do wish that he had microed that just a little bit better. He did pull it back the first time, but just pulling it back one more time, he probably could have saved both of those. But anyways, in Reclaimer's base, during the, or right before all of that big aggression happened, Reclaimer was actually going for a Twilight Council, and we're actually seeing 4 gateways and a Dark Shrine. So wow, it's going to be going for the Dark Templar. You know, Dark Templar, a great option in Protoss versus Protoss, because you know what, there's so many builds that just outright kills. If your opponent does not have a robotics facility, you just outright win. If your opponent for some reason went for a forge, though, maybe they might be able to hold off, maybe, but you know, usually very rare. You don't expect a forge this early, as you'd have to end up cutting quite a few units. But luckily for Bratsche, he did get that full scout off on Reclaimer's base. As we can see here, he saw that Citadel, or sorry, the Twilight Council. So he didn't see the Dark Obelisk that was being planted down, but you know, he is going to play it safe and just go ahead and get this robotics facility, so he will be very much prepared. But you know, one misconception that happens in Protoss vs. Protoss is thinking, oh, well, I have a robotics facility, so you know what, the Dark Templar they're absolutely going to be completely useless. That's actually not true. A lot of Protoss are very, very, they're not the most careful about their observers, and you know, sometimes they'll lose their observer to the enemy observer, and sometimes they'll just keep their observer and only make one with their army. And that means that the Dark Templar just goes past the army as soon as they move out, and they get to do a huge amount of damage. So that's going to force Bratsche to either have multiple observers or have some other form of detection inside his base when his army does decide to move out. And it looks like he's not actually going to be doing that, so we're going to have to see if that ends up biting him in the foot. And it looks like this Dark Templar is already out, but the observer is actually, oh no, the observer's rallied straight to home. Oh, wow, okay. Clutch pullback, he is going to move that back, and it looks like there is an Archon that's going to be able to do some good damage to these Zealots, but it's mostly a Stalker army from Bratsche, and it looks like this Dark Templar is going to go ahead and I think that Reclaimer believes that there is no observer out quite yet, but he's going to realize in just a second, yeah, there is the target fire down on that Dark Templar, so that's going to force Reclaimer to go ahead and back up until he can really get a much larger army. This is not exactly a large enough army to deal with this huge army over here. Now, one thing I do think that, oh, does he actually, okay, never mind. This pylon was in fact scouted, so hopefully that won't actually end up supply blocking Reclaimer, and it looks like it isn't going to. He's very well positioned in terms of pylons. He has a lot of proxy, or he actually, just this one proxy pylon, but still, it's really important for every Protoss player to go ahead and plant those proxy pylons across the map, because you know what, as soon as the opponent moves out of his base, that means that you're going to have some great options to put on some Zealot harassment or even Dark Templar harassment if you so happen to have that Dark Obelisk. And of course, while I was blabbering on about that entire battle going on over by Bratsche's base, sPcReclaimer has actually gone ahead and gotten his Nexus up, but you know, it's really going to come down to whether or not he can hold this very big and scary attack off. He does have 2 Archons and quite a few Zealots, but you know, he doesn't have any sentries, so he's going to have to be very careful about maybe getting kited back by these Stalkers. And it looks like the Zealot's moving in from Bratsche a little bit early, but oh no, the Observer is actually inside of Reclaimer's base, and he's going to be able to blink up and pick off a bunch of these Zealots. And you know, all of these Zealots are going to be kited all day until, oh wow, actually Bratsche doing a very smart play. Targeting firing down those pylons, and actually, ooh, maybe target firing down it a little bit too long. Now targeting down those Archons, but those Archons are taking so much damage, and these Zealots are doing all the damage they really need to. Holy cow! Zealots do a lot of damage. Wow. in case those people, in case you didn't know, actually, a Zealot will actually have a much higher damage per second than a Stalker. A Zealot will actually do, on each attack, 8 damage twice. So that means it's doing 16 damage. While a Stalker is actually only doing 10 damage and 14 damage to armored. And I might be wrong on this, but I think a Stalker also attacks a little bit slower. So a Zealot actually has a much better damage per second rate. But the reason why players tend to opt to go for the Stalkers is because they are more mobile. And that means that you can kite things like Zealots back by attacking and then backing up and then attacking and backing up. And in addition to having the range. But you know, Bratsche, I'm a little bit disappointed as he didn't really utilize that kiting ability. Instead, he was using that target fire on the Archons that were over here, while he should have been either attacking once and then backing up a little bit, attacking once and backing up a little bit. And I think he would have gotten a much better exchange in that battle. But you know, sPcReclaimer is going to be pretty happy with that engagement. He did really only end up losing that one Archon and a couple of Zealots. Still a very good exchange, considering Zealots are only a mineral investment. And wow, look at Reclaimer actually boosting way ahead in the probes, up about now 10 probes. Oh man, that number is changing right as I was trying to say it. A little bit annoying, but anyways, so he's up 10 probes, so he's going to be feeling pretty comfortable. He has this expansion up. You know, Bratsche does have his expansion about to come up, but he really doesn't have the probe count to even begin to saturate this natural expansion. He might be able to get about 5 or 6 probes mining here, but he's going to have to go ahead and wait until those other probes are rebuilt. And really, this expansion is not going to pay off quite as fast as Reclaimer's expansion has been. And Reclaimer actually already getting that also important 3rd and 4th gas geysers. And those 3rd and 4th gas geysers are, as you can imagine, very important for Protoss, as a lot of the Protoss tech units cost a lot of gas, and we can see here he has those Dark Templar that he's using to make those Archons. That's 125 gas investment. He's now getting that robotics facility, which, ooh, I do like this plane. I'll come back to this in a second. But you know, this Warp Prism, which is actually in fact only a mineral-only investment, so it's not too big of a gas investment quite yet. But if he does decide to go ahead and get those Immortals or the Observer or the Colossus, you can see all of those. All 3 of those have quite a bit of a gas investment. So you want to get those 3rd and 4th gas geysers up very quickly. And I'm a little bit surprised that Bratsche is actually not opting to get those. Over here, we can see actually in the upgrade station, though, Bratsche is doing a pretty good job. He's getting that +1 weapons out. And it looks like Reclaimer not really quite opting to go for that Forge quite yet. Oftentimes I do see that Protosses are a little bit lost on when exactly to go for those upgrades in PvP, and it is a little bit of an unexplored area in terms of at least the lower leagues. Not everyone really knows exactly when to get it. Sometimes that 100 gas investment can do a lot of damage, but oh no, actually Bratsche went for the Dark Templar and is now surprising Reclaimer with his own Dark Templar, and it looks like he's going to try and target fire down the Nexus. I don't think he's going to get it though, and actually I'm pretty sure that this Archon, yep, there it is, 6 kills. Some of those might have actually been from the previous Stalker engagement, but definitely the Archon doing a lot of damage to biological, 35 damage, and those Dark Templar do count as biological units. So good save by Reclaimer, and Bratsche actually going for a little bit of a risky tactic there, as that was quite a bit of an investment to go for 5 Dark Templar. That's actually a lot of gas. I was just saying, 125 gas for each Dark Templar. That's over 500 gas, I think, if my math is correct. But you know what? I'm not even going to bother to find out if my math is correct. I could bust out a calculator right now, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. You guys probably don't want to see that. But anyways, we do see the Robotics Bay going down for Bratsche. Colossus often claimed to be the only option that... ooh, actually, hold that thought. There's Warp Prism dropping the Dark Templar, but Bratsche beautifully positioning this Observer and these Stalkers to deal with that Dark Templar harass. He's going to be able to shut this down, and even utilizing the Blink to pick off this Warp Prism, and that's a great play. Wow. Not only killing off those 3 or 4 Dark Templar, but also picking up the Warp Prism. That means at that time that, you know, Reclaimer could have been making an Immortal or maybe another Observer out of these robotics facilities. He instead made the Warp Prism that ended up really not doing any damage. Now we do see that Reclaimer actually is researching that Thermal Lance and getting 2 Colossus at a time. That's going to really give him a great edge on the Colossus count when it comes to that. And in the meanwhile, he is going to be going for that double forge as well. I was talking about how sometimes Protoss are a little bit lost on the exact timing of when to get those upgrades, and we can see here Reclaimer really just deciding, you know what, now is as good a time as ever. I'm going for the Colossus. Hopefully I will be able to start researching my +1/+1 at the same time, and maybe I'll push out when those upgrades finish, and I'll have maybe 4 to maybe 6 Colossus. And I think that will be a great strategy. I really do hope that Reclaimer does wait for the +1/+1 upgrades to finish, if he actually ends up starting them soon, and I really hope he does. Meanwhile, on the other end, we do see +2 weapons actually finishing up, so actually completely bypassing +1 armor. So an interesting decision from Bratsche, and meanwhile he is also going to get the Zealot Charge. Now Zealot Charge is actually a great tool in PvP. Oftentimes Protoss players will complain, oh, all I can make in late game Protoss versus Protoss is Colossus, and you know, sometimes I can get some Archons and it'll help out a little bit, but Zealots and Stalkers, oh man, they're useless. Actually, that's completely untrue. Charge Zealots are severely underutilized by some of the lower league players in this matchup, and I'm really glad to see Bratsche utilizing those Charge Zealots, because you know what, you might be thinking, oh, well, Colossus will just kill off all the Zealots in just a matter of seconds. But if you utilize your Charge Zealots to get good flanking position from around the Colossus will instead be attacking directly at their feet. So it makes it really hard for the Colossus to be doing a lot of splash damage to all of the Zealots. So if Bratsche does opt to go for that kind of style of play, to make up for the fact that he is going to be quite severely behind in the Colossus count, despite having 2 robotics facilities, he's only really producing Colossus out of 1 of them right now. And as of right now, you can see in the unit counting station, it is 4 Colossus to 1, with I think Reclaimer about to finish up another Colossus. So Reclaimer's army looking pretty gosh darn scary, and actually his pro count also looking pretty darn healthy, as well as this third up and running, and Reclaimer's really looking to be in a great position to take this game. It's really going to be on Bratsche's shoulders to put on some aggression and really do some damage before Reclaimer's army gets too big, but it looks like Reclaimer actually deciding, you know what, hey, I have the bigger army right now. I don't actually know if he knows that right now, but he must certainly feel very comfortable with his huge Colossus count. As we can see here, he's still continuing to produce those Colossus. So he's going to move out into the center of the map, grab the Xel'Naga Watchtower, and really just try and get a little bit of map control, since he does have that very large army. Meanwhile, it looks like Bratsche finally actually finding some of these proxy pylons. And actually, if he kills off this proxy pylon, it looks like he might actually supply block Reclaimer, and that's actually going to be quite annoying, as that's actually going to stop this next Colossus from being queued up. And yeah, that might actually give Bratsche a decent chance of maybe catching up in the unit counting station just a little bit, maybe getting some more of those Zealots or Colossus out, as well as finishing up some of these upgrades, actually going for the +3. So, you know, Bratsche really deciding, you know what, I'm all offense and no defense. The best offense is the best defense is a good offense, and he's just going to go straight for pure damage. Forget about defending my units. And I'm not sure how much I agree with that, just because, you know, he should know that he is lacking in the Colossus count in comparison to his opponent, Reclaimer, who's sitting at soon-to-be, let's see, 7 Colossus. Oh, actually, sorry, wrong unit, wrong production tab. But still, 6 to 4. So he should know that that is the case. And it looks like just a couple of units being sacrificed there from Bratsche to maybe get a little bit of scouting information. Now finally taking this third, and I'm actually really curious. Bratsche, oh no, only just now discovering that Reclaimer has had this third, and this third has been up and running for quite a while. You might be thinking, oh, well, it doesn't really have that many probes mining at it, but the important thing is this 5th and 6th gas geyser. I was talking earlier about how important the gas is in this matchup. And not actually even in this matchup specifically, but just for Protoss in general. And Reclaimer doing a great job keeping higher up on that gas count, and actually even going for that 4th base, and you can see here exactly what I was talking about. Taking those 7th and 8th gas geyser already. So just getting ready to make sure that he can start mining gas immediately once this expansion starts to finish up. And we do see the probe transfer here for a very, very late third from Bratsche. And, you know, I'm a little bit worried for Bratsche. He will have that +3 weapons upgrade finishing up in just a second. But I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. sPcReclaimer actually going for the +2 weapons right now. Soon to be, I assume, +2 armor. Plus, there it is. +2 armor and chrono boosting both of those out. He is a little bit behind in upgrade count. He does only have 2 upgrades right now, as opposed to the 3 upgrades that have completed for Bratsche. So if Bratsche can maybe somehow find a way to take advantage of that, as well as the fact that he has these very fearsome +3 charge zealots, he might be able to do some good damage. But it looks like actually Reclaimer being very smart and actually trusting my word a little bit, maybe deciding that, you know what, charge zealots are pretty good in this matchup, and I want to make sure that I have those too. They can do a great job tanking that initial damage. And oh my god, hold that thought, guys. We see a mothership, and of course I go to the main because it's always made in the main. But anyways, we see this mothership actually rallied. Funnily off, this mothership is actually going to try and vortex. Oh no, sorry, it's going to try and recall some of these minerals directly back to the Nexus, so that way he can immediately mine out this entire base. I'm just kidding, guys. But anyways, the mothership actually a very new tactic in this age of Protoss versus Protoss. We used to not really see the mothership that often, but the mothership really proving to be a great tool in Protoss versus Protoss, partially because that vortex is so powerful in just one, clumping up the units of the enemy. It really can ruin a bit of a concave if you can throw down the correct vortex, and it also takes so many of the Colossus right out of the battle from the get-go. So that means that your units will be alive for longer. That means they can do more damage, and really, if they the opponent decides to say, oh, well, I'll just throw my entire army in there, well, then your entire army is really clumped up, and then it's going to take even more damage. So it's kind of like a lose-lose if you end up getting a vortex thrown down on your army when you're really not prepared for it. So anyways, it looks like Bratsche is actually going to start a mothership of his own, so both of these players a little bit up to date on the recent Protoss versus Protoss metagame, and this is going to be a lot of fun. That's actually the one thing that he definitely needed to do. Bratsche really would not be able to contend with Reclaimer's army, but it looks like Reclaimer is about maxed out, and he's going to be going, his +2 weapons is finishing up, as well as his +2 armor. Oh no, he should wait for his +2 armor. It's just going to be 20 seconds. Reclaimer, don't engage. Oh no, it looks like Bratsche is going to decide to engage, and Reclaimer backing up. Yes, Reclaimer, you just have to wait a little bit. He does have that mothership, but it does not have quite enough energy for a vortex. It's going to have enough energy for in just a little bit, and actually Reclaimer can take a huge advantage right now, having finished that +2 upgrades, and now having the energy for a vortex before Bratsche ends up having that energy. It looks like he's going to go in, and the initial engagement is starting. Those charge zealots all charging at each other, eager for the blood of their enemy, and the Colossus all massacring all of these zealots. We do see a couple of Dark Templar also mixed in. The Archon's taking quite a bit of damage, but it looks like Reclaimer is in a great position in addition to that vortex being thrown down. And wow, actually, just noticing that Reclaimer actually has 3 observers, a great play to make sure that he does not get caught off guard by those Dark Templar. But it looks like this vortex is going to come out, and as soon as the vortex comes out, 7 Colossus are going to greet all the units inside with a big howdy doodah, taking off all the shields immediately, and might actually get to pick off a couple of the Colossus. Does manage to pick off 1, but then decides to back off. All of these Colossus have lost all their shields, so Bratsche is really not going to want to engage. And, you know, he really can't engage this army unless he gets into a beautiful position in concave. But meanwhile, Bratsche is going to have to lose his third if he doesn't engage. So it looks like Bratsche is going to try and maybe just catch his army after it, you know, goes and kills off the third and then tries to back out. But, you know, we do see sPcReclaimer up about 70 supply. That is actually a huge deal. We can see here again in the unit counting station, because we do love our unit counting station to find out how many Colossus there are. We see 6 to 6 Colossus, so actually even in the Colossus count. But the big thing that I'm going to say is going to change the way that this battle is going to be played is the fact that sPcReclaimer does have so many Archons, so those Archons are going to take massive amounts of damage for sPcReclaimer. Meanwhile, it looks like both motherships actually lacking in the energy. We see that both actually around the same amount of energy. So, and I think that sPcReclaimer's mothership is just about 10 energy behind. So I don't know if Bratsche is going to try and engage maybe just a little bit before Reclaimer actually ends up getting that energy back. I don't think he has any way of knowing that. And ooh, I actually love this play. sPcReclaimer saying, hey, you know what? I don't need to send my entire army up to kill this off this expansion. That would just leave me more vulnerable, because if he sent his entire army up here, that would leave for some great attack paths to go straight into sPcReclaimer's base. So he's just going to attack it with 2 zealots and say, you know what, I'll kill it eventually, and he's not getting anything from it. Anyways, we do see actually +3/+3 coming out for Reclaimer. So, you know, the longer that this game goes, the more or the better off that Reclaimer's going to be. But it looks like the engagement's going to happen. He wants to make sure that he just hits while his army is maxed. And there's the Vortex going down at Reclaimer's army. The Mothership actually getting Vortex as well. And Reclaimer, ooh, throwing his entire army into that Vortex. I'm not sure how much I agree with that. It's going to be a very close call, as it looks like Bratsche is going to use this time to split up his army, get a great concave going, and oh no, Reclaimer actually potentially going to lose 2 of those Colossus, and his entire army is clumped up, taking huge amounts of damage. All of the shields on almost every single Reclaimer's units are gone, and we can see here, all of these units are in the red, yellow, or orange, and actually Reclaimer jumping down in supply by quite a bit. We were talking about how before he had a 70 supply lead, but now only up about 40, maybe 50 supply. So a great move from Bratsche, and we're going to have to see whether or not they can bring him back into this game. The only thing that I have to say about that, though, is that Reclaimer is already taking his 5th base. His 3rd is still mining and pretty healthily saturated. His natural just barely mined out, and his 4th still very healthy in mining. Actually has a couple of work kits that he can make, and actually even making a little bit of a bank that he's going to start to use to make Holy Dark Templar Batman. He's going to make so many Archons, going to make up 4 Archons, and I do like this decision as well. Just making, leaving 2 Dark Templar. Unfortunately, there are 2 observers from Bratsche, so he is going to clean all of those up. A little bit of a sad catch. And ooh, I actually do like this decision as well. Bratsche sending a couple of Zealots to maybe try and put on a little bit of harassment. But it looks like the engagement's going to be over here, and the Archon's really not getting the best attack angle that they really would want. But it doesn't matter. I think that sPcReclaimer just has too many units. He's going to be able to kill off this Mothership with just Archons. And as soon as this army comes out of this Vortex, I think sPcReclaimer is going to be pretty happily attacking the entire army and probably chase it down immediately. Ooh, actually, Bratsche, yeah, having to back off, realizing he cannot take that army. He is going to have to back off and, you know, cut his losses where they are. Just 3 Colossus remaining, or actually it's going to be 4, as there's this one that's going to rally over, but it looks like that is going to be game. Bratsche is going to completely tap out. Very well played from sPcReclaimer, realizing that, you know what, this is a game of StarCraft, and StarCraft is all about economics. So we can see that sPcReclaimer decided to go for a very economical way to take this game. He decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take my 3rd, and then I'm going to go ahead and take a very fast 4th. And because Bratsche really just didn't have the opportunity to keep up, because he was so far behind in his army count, and by army count I mean his Colossus count, namely, he didn't really feel comfortable taking this 3rd until very, very late. And once that 3rd was finally taken, sPcReclaimer was already on his 4th, soon going to his 5th base, pretty soon afterwards. And, you know, Bratsche tried to take a very fast 4th afterwards, but it just really did not work out. sPcReclaimer was completely maxed out, managed to push up into this 3rd base and completely eliminate Bratsche's 3rd and 4th, leaving him on basically no mining bases, just this natural that is hardly mining. We can see that, of course, a lot of probes were killed during the killing off of this 3rd base by Reclaimer, so I would have to say, very well played game. And, you know, I promised you guys at the start that this is going to be a very interesting length game. And, you know, it's a very long game. I'll actually reveal it, or, you know, 31, almost 32-minute game. We got to see Motherships. What more could you ask for? So thank you so much for everyone who decided to stick in and stick with this 32-minute game. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much to sPcReclaimer for submitting this replay. He actually submitted me a couple of replays, so look forward to those in the future. And by the way, anyone who does want their game casted, I am actually just casting any games that people submit to me. You can submit those to feardragon64@gmail.com. And I will cast 100% of the games that are submitted to me. That is with the exception of things like Star Jeweled and custom games like that. I've actually tried commentating some of those just for fun and for giggles, but you know, it didn't really work out quite as well. I actually tried to commentate Nexus Word Wars. Doesn't really work out too well when you can't actually even see the words being typed. But anyways, that's actually going to put an end to this. I'm going to let you guys go. I'm sure you guys have plenty of other things to do. You guys probably want to get into Masters League, and if not Masters League, you guys are probably busy getting to Grandmasters League, you know, taking down the big names like White Raw, Show, MVP. So I'll let you get to that. That sounds like such an important thing. Make sure you send me some replays on your way over there to Grandmasters. So take care, guys. I'm heading out. This is Fear Dragon out. Roar.